the thing that the bread and butter of My Pillow is their bedding products, and they are having their biggest bedding sale ever. This is just in time for Christmas. So their Giza Dream bed sheets, you can get them as low as $29.98. You can get a set of pillowcases for under $10.
God,
they
that's
have
cheap.
I know. And they have
So
their 60-day money-back guarantee has been extended. So if you just want to try and see what all the hullabaloo is about, this is a great time to do it.
Yeah.
All you have to do is go to mypillow.com/chicks and then use promo code chicks. And you're going to get huge discounts, not just on the bedding, but on all of the things that are My Pillow. And every last thing that you order from there, I can promise you're going to be amazed and delighted at the quality of those things.
You really should do it. Get all new bedding for the new year. Like,
do it.
Treat yourself. Do it.
And I know if you're anything like me and you need sleep right now because there is some stress in my life that is because I have a junior in high school who we are just starting to really dig into this whole college admissions, college selection process. And man, is it ever different than it was when we were going through it ourselves.
It's different than it was when we were going through it with our older kids. We have a 33-year-old and a 29-year-old. And I will tell you, the process was different back in like 2007, 2011. Is that right? No, they graduated 2008, 2012 from college or high school? High school. Is that right? High school? Yeah. So I'm trying to think of like when they graduated high school and when they actually went to college. And it was different back then. It was different when they went to school than now. So, I mean, things have changed. Like you need help. You need guidance. You need somebody to like counsel you on all the aid and the getting in and the how to go through all the paperwork. It's like filing freaking taxes now. God.
It really is. And they've complicated a process that should be getting easier based on the value that you actually get from college.
Right.
Right?
So
and
true.
Instead it's the reverse. Now you're doing all this extra work and going through all of this turmoil and stress to get your kids into college where they're getting a way worse education than
And
what
turning
they would
liberal.
have got. And turning liberal than what
Yeah.
they would have gotten had they gone, when we went to school.
Yeah.
Now it's just so freaking woke.
It is. It's so woke. And then, like, exactly, you have to go through all these hoops and do all these things to get into school. And then you turn your kid over for 4 years. A conservative kid, you turn them over. And then 4 years later, they come back and they're like, I hate you, Mom and Dad. I hate you, conservative parents. And the girls come back and they've shaved their heads and they've dyed it blue. And then all of a sudden they're like, I want to change my gender. Down with the patriarchy. Yeah. And then you don't know what you're going to get back. Yeah. Just kind of, it sucks. So
it's awful. It's awful. And so now, there's not a university, I don't think, in the entire country at this point that doesn't have some sort of, diversity training. Like right when you get in there as a freshman, you got to go through all of this nonsense, this diversity, inclusion.
I think Hillsdale would probably be the exception, right? Is it Hillsdale?
I hope that they're an exception.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty sad that you can immediately
Right.
think of one college that maybe is the exception. And so yesterday, and in fact on our website at chicksontheright.com yesterday, I had seen on Twitter this woman asking a question that really sparked a whole conversation in my household. This woman posted, and I quote, "Speaking with a friend's 18-year-old son, strong Christian, who started college in the fall. The request to provide his pronouns is coming up for the first time in his life. How would you advise him to respond?" And I was like, you know what? That is going to happen. That is going to be a question that is asked not just by school administrators in college to my kid, but there's going to be teachers that want to know because they've been told they have to pay attention to that. There's going to be friends that he makes that will probably be into that whole thing. I mean, it's going to be a thing. And it wasn't something we had talked about until I saw this yesterday. And I was like, even answering the question at all lends legitimacy to the idea that people have pronouns.
Yeah, and I don't want
to
lend legitimacy to it. I just want to tell my daughter, tell people that your pronouns are chimichanga. Those are your pronouns. Because this is all such bullshit. What are we doing? I don't.
So
I don't want to. Why? Why? It's like we have to. Why do we have to kowtow to the crazy?
Yeah.
And then our kids have to kowtow to the crazy. It's like, because, and this, the thing that sucks is like you're saying administrators are going to ask that question.
Oh,
so
yeah.
now you're in a position, or our kids are in a position where they have to answer a question, they have to answer craziness to somebody who is their superior.
Right. I mean, they
My
can't be
God.
rude about it. It's not,
No.
you know, if you and I are asked that, like, out in the world, we can snark it up as much as we want because
Right, and
we
we do.
report to each other. Like, we don't,
Right.
nobody is the boss of us, right? We
It's
don't
chimichanga.
care.
It is
Right.
chimichanga in my world. That's what
But
it
I
is.
did read through a lot of the answers that, you know, other people wrote to this woman's question. And I have some really good, solid ideas that I
Okay.
thought I would tell you
Love-
about, just
love to
because
hear
these are
them.
great. So I like several of them, and then you can pick your favorites. But one was just answering guess.
Okay.
Guess. I mean,
All right.
it's an option. Probably not what you would want to do to someone in a superior position, but I can see in a friend situation using
Right.
that, just saying
Yeah.
guess. Then there's another suggestion that if you're asked the question, you can simply respond, I'm biologically female, if that's what you're asking, and see how that is received.
Okay.
You can say, it doesn't matter because I am not going to demand or dictate how other people speak about me in conversations with other people. And I love that because
love that
that's
too.
right.
It's a little wordy, but yeah.
It's a little wordy. That's the only
Especially
problem.
like, because I don't really like to engage with crazy people. So it's a lot of words. It's just a lot of words with a crazy person.
It's a lot of words. And then I love the idea of saying my pronouns are I, me, because that's actually accurate.
That is what I
My
would
pronouns are
like.
I, me.
Me.
How
Yeah, I
you
like-
refer to me when you're talking about me in third person, I don't really give a shit. It's not my business.
Yeah. I like that. I like my pronouns. I don't really have pronouns. I just use the
Right.
grammatically correct I, me. Yeah, which is what, normal people do. That's what we've been taught from the very beginning of time. And then they've hijacked grammar. They've hijacked semantics. They've hijacked the English language is what they've done. This is what these people now, it's like we talked about on our daily show. They've gone into this whole other realm of, oh, well, I can use emojis as pronouns. I
So
can
dumb.
use, like the puppy dog emoji as my pronoun. You're batshit crazy. I'm not going to do that. I was like, what? And this is the thing. They keep changing the rules and moving the goalposts. And we're kowtowing to that. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. I kind of like a very short and succinct, being as short and succinct as possible.
Yeah.
But the fact that our kids are being subjected to this by adults,
Right.
adults
That's the
who
problem.
are in charge of giving them grades and getting them through college, that is what's so crazy. It's just all crazy.
It is. Well, and then as
nuts.
soon as even if my son answers he, him, again, that's, obviously he's male and those are the pronouns that everybody uses to refer to him because that's normal. And so even just by answering the question, though, it's like you're playing the game. You're being forced to play the stupid game.
Yeah.
And I just
if
hate
you-
that.
And if you don't, then they see you as some sort of an enemy, right?
Yeah.
You're automatically put on this, you're an other. You're an other, and they know that, and they've like weeded you out, and now it's like you're on their radar. And what's going to happen to you? Are you going to get a bad grade in a class? Are you going to be, you're going to be singled out somehow,
Right.
And a lot of kids, we've talked to people over the past several years doing what we do. A lot of college kids have written us saying that, and parents of college kids have written us saying that their kids just say the things. They just go through the motions. They lie on papers. They lie in classrooms. Conservative kids do, just to get through the class.
Right.
That breaks my heart But really, if you think about it, it's like they got to do what they got to do just to get by so they can get a grade. Because what is it like? Is it 92% of professors? It may be more. I think it may be more now. 90 something percent of professors are liberal now.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's an astronomical.
It may be
ridiculous
98%.
percentage.
It may actually be 98%. Think about that. You're talking about almost every single professor that your kid's going to have is a liberal professor. So your kid doesn't stand a chance in a classroom. So, I mean, if they want to make a good grade, if they don't want to be singled out, they have to lie. They have to pretend to be something that they're not. That is a horrible way to be for 4 years in a classroom. Can you imagine?
And it perpetuates the cycle. It makes it continue to be validated and legitimized, and then everybody keeps doing it. I feel sorry too for any conservative administrative employees who are also forced in some way just because they need the job. They have to play along with all this nonsense.
Yeah, and they do. You know that they exist.
Oh yeah.
You know that they have to be in the schools and they have to exist. There's at least some that are probably like our age that have been there forever that just kind of go along to get along. Mm-hmm. I mean, I used to teach at the college level. I obviously never be able to teach now, but if I would have stayed there, no one ever knew what my political affiliation was. If I would have stayed there, I probably would have I wouldn't have played along in the sense that I would have said anything that was liberal leaning, but I just wouldn't have said anything. I just wouldn't have said anything just to keep my job.
But now you would be in front of a classroom filled with perhaps students who are demanding that you refer to them by weird pronouns.
And I wouldn't do it.
And that's the thing. There's not enough people who are going to say, I'm not doing that. This is just stupid.
Mm-hmm. And then it permeates high schools too. It goes down. It's starting to trickle down into our K through 12. It's just a mess, you guys. And then we're starting to see it in like medical schools and law schools and all of the graduate schools. That's where, and that freaks me out because if you look at like the medical part of it, you start to see like woke medicine, which we're starting to see. Like I sat on a plane I think it was when you and I went to Florida for the midterms. And we met just to, have our time in Florida for the midterms. I was on a plane with an actual heart doctor. And I didn't know he was a heart doctor until we started talking about medicine and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, I'm a cardiologist. And so I was fascinated by the fact that this guy, he's an older dude. And, you and I are always like, if we see a pilot, we want the pilot to be old.
Right.
You know what I mean? If we see like anybody who has our life in their hands, we want that person to be older than us.
Yes. Yes.
And we're 50-ish. So it's like, this guy probably was, I don't know, anywhere between 8 and 10 years older than me. And so I was like, all right, he probably knows what's what when it comes to medicine. And so I was talking to him about the state of medicine and like medical schools and stuff like that. And he's like, things have really changed and they've gone by the wayside. And kids, he says kids, like younger people in medical school now and going through residencies don't have to go through the same shit that I went through.
God, that's
when I was in my residency. Yeah, exactly. And so that, and I didn't really get into the whole political part of it, but you could tell that there was he was unsettled about that. He was unsettled about the fact that they didn't have to go through the same, rigorous stuff that he had to go through. And then there was that underlying wokeness that was looming. And it's, all the diversity training and the wokeness and the concentration on like politicization. Did I say that right? Politicization.
I never know if it's politicization or politicization.
There you go. That. But like on politics.
I still don't know.
Like but the emphasis on politics in medicine, which there should be no emphasis on politics in medicine. Medicine is medicine. Science is science, right? But so many people are focusing on politics now in medicine, which is kind of whack. And then it ends up being a detriment to how effective medicine is. Like there was an article on Jake Tapper's daughter. I saw it on like page 6 the other day, and his daughter almost died after being misdiagnosed because I think she had appendicitis or something, and it was misdiagnosed, and she was complaining about pain. And doctors nowadays, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of doctors nowadays are, they're just so sure of themselves. Like, don't question a doctor. You can't question a doctor, right? And these doctors were just so sure of the diagnosis that they gave, the initial diagnosis that they gave her. And she was like, but I'm in a lot of pain, you know, I'm just, and they kind of wrote her off. And it turns out, and she almost died after a misdiagnosis. And so she was very adamant about saying, but I'm in a lot of pain, like something's wrong. And I guess it was her appendix. I think that's what it ended up being. And she finally was treated. But I think, you know, if she were not somebody who was a famous person's daughter, who knows what would have happened, right? Because Jake Tapper
was the team young? Is that the
I'm not really sure how. I don't know how. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that they were old. Let's put it that way. I don't think that they were old like the guy that I talked to. But it's just the state of medicine today is just very different than it was. It's just a lot. I don't know. There's like a sense of being cocky and brushing people off and not looking at the whole person. And it's very. It's just kind of mired in we're here and you're down here. And it's just different than it used to be, I think, personally.
The focus is always on the wrong stuff. I mean, thankfully, there are at least scientists who are still geniuses at, for example, putting together amazing skincare, like the kind that you get with Genucell.
You and your transitions. I'm just going to kick back. That was really good.
Right. Did you see how I just slid into that?
It was like, sliding into home base. It was really good. Really good.
But it's true because they have got some amazing people at Genucell doing, like, you can just imagine them like holding the test tubes and like all the, you know, the fancy laboratory bottles and stuff, like testing out all of the amazing stuff that the magic potions that they're putting into their products. I'm telling you, we've tried a lot of products from Genucell and there's not a one that we have not been like, damn, this stuff is amazing about.
Yeah. It is pretty amazing. It is good stuff. It's changed the quality of my skin for sure over the past couple years. Mm-hmm.
And that's not an exaggeration. And right now, the most popular package, which is the one that they consistently go through and curate to really put together the most awesome products all in one little package, conveniently packaged together for you. That is what is on mega sale right now. You can go to genucell.com/chicks. That's GENUCEL.com/chicks. 70% off right now, you guys. 70% off. genucell.com/chicks. So you're right that the whole medical world is different because they're focusing on all the stupid crap.
Yeah,
it's like the military too,
and the meritocracy and all the, you know, the woke stuff. I think that it's, you know, they're doing all the diversity and all the stuff that they don't need to be doing in medicine. You know, they need to take like the best person for the job.
Imagine thinking that that's a bad idea when you want to find the best doctors.
Right. When you want to find somebody who's going to be the best person to save somebody's life.
And you're going to be more important. You're going to think it's more important to be like, well, is it somebody that isn't a man? Is it somebody that's not white?
We want to make sure that it's not
focus on that.
Yeah. We don't want that white cis guy. You know, we want like the lesbian or whatever, the transgender, whatever. You know, it's like just to make sure that we check this box. It's like, no, I actually, if I'm having a heart attack, I really honestly want the best person for the job to save my life. I don't care what color, race, I don't care what race, ethnicity, I don't care. None of that matters at all. I want to make sure that like if my kid is in a health situation where it's life or death, that my kid can be saved. Mm-hmm. Color, all that. I don't care. I don't care if they're polka dotted. Just save my kid's life.
Yeah.
You know? And so but they're super concerned about this kind of stuff now. And then a lot of the standards have just been dumbed down, which is ridiculous.
That's the part that scares me the most.
Yeah.
Because when we're going to need the most health care is when we're old, and we're going to end up being treated by people who are in the system now and in the coming years. And this is just going to get worse. You know?
It's terrifying. It really is terrifying. Yeah. And you're right. Same thing is happening with the military too.
And this is, who's laughing about this is China. Can you imagine anybody in China being like, we really need to think about diversity and more women and more lesbians in the field of medicine in China?
They don't care.
They're not focusing on that. They're focusing on how do we kick everybody's ass in the entire globe. Mm-hmm. And they're doing it in all the ways,
Right. And meantime, we spend more money, they say, than any other country in the world on students, on education. So the United States consistently spends far more money per school-age student than any other country. Something like, I think this is a figure from a couple years ago, but it was like $12,000 per child compared with like $4,000 to $5,000 in comparable countries.
In K-12 and K through 12?
This is K through 12. So excluding the huge sum spent on the 10% of children who go to private schools, we spend upwards of like 10 grand a year. And this was, like I said, this was like a couple years ago. That's a lot. It's a lot of freaking money per kid.
Because it's not actually going to the kids. It's going to be, it's spent on diversity inclusion administrators. That's what the money's going towards.
Yeah, exactly. And if you like in my kid's school, like in her K through, she goes to a regular public school. There are so many administrators.
Yeah.
And when I say so many administrators, I'm talking about like vice principals and stuff like that. Like when I was in school, we had a principal and we had a vice principal.
Yep.
In her school, she has like 1,000 vice principals. And I'm like, what the hell are all these people doing? And I'll ask her and she's like, I don't know.
Nobody knows. They don't even know.
No. It's like, so there's a lot of just administrative bullcrap happening in a lot of these schools, in addition to the diversity and the inclusion and all that other stuff we could cut so much fat if we just had people come in there and cut a lot of fat, but no one is willing to do it. It's just, we've gotten so bureaucracy heavy in these schools.
And again, the more we spend, the less quality we get in terms of our kids' education. That's the worst part. That's happening at K through 12 level and college level. And now we're spending more and more and more on college. Like, it's just stupid how much college costs right now.
Oh my God.
And the education is for shit.
It's insane. It's insane. But yet you need somebody, kind of like what we said at the beginning, you need somebody to walk you through getting your kid into one of these for crap colleges.
I know.
Or else they can't get in because it's so competitive. Because even my 12-year-old will say, people at her age, she's almost 13. She's barely almost 13. But even 13-year-olds are starting to talk about college. Like, she talks about college with me, and she's not even 13. I don't remember ever doing that when I was that age. I didn't even think about college until I was 17 years old. And even then I was like, do I have to think about college? I don't But they think about it at such a young age, and because they know it's been shoved into their brains that it is so incredibly competitive that they have to think about it at such a young age. They're taught that you have to play a sport to get in, or you have to do this to get in, you have to do that to get in. It's ingrained in their brains that they have to think that way, and they have to know it at such an early age. It's weird. It's weird to me.
Yeah,
but that's our culture now. It's strange.
Everything is just worse than, remember how good the 80s were? Remember?
I know. And it's worse, but then the quality is not better. You know what I mean? It's worse for them, and it's worse from a quality standpoint. And it's like, we think that, we're doing such a service by making sure that our kids we're doing all these things, and we're going at warp speed, and it's like nothing. We think we're trying to do the right thing as parents, and it's like, you're right. I'd love to be back in the 80s again. I would love it. It would be so much better.
It would
bring back Reagan, right?
Better. Oh my God, I know. Oh, I hate to get all wistful about the 80s because it really shows our age.
I know.
But man,
I loved it.
Everything is borked right now. The only thing that's not borked in the world right now is meat from Omaha Steaks.
As my cow walks by the window. You said that. My cow walked right by the window.
I did it again. Did you see how I slid right into that?
You just slid it right in there. It was great.
Well, and for real, we are having steaks for dinner tonight. My father-in-law is visiting, and my husband already took out Omaha fillets from the freezer to defrost.
I had one for lunch.
Did you? He's going to cook us up some steaks tonight.
so good, you guys.
Oh
So
my God,
good.
I'm so excited. So I don't know what sides he's preparing yet. I'm hoping it's one of those like scalloped potato flowers.
Ugh.
You know what I'm talking about?
And then you have to have
that
an
is so
apple
good.
tartlet for dessert.
Without question, there will be apple tartlets for dessert. And you guys, if you have not had the mouth-wateringly delicious steaks from omahasteaks.com yet, now is a really, really good time because there's a 50% off site-wide sale. So if you put together like your dream cooler full of good, yummy steaks and maybe it's not steaks. Maybe you're a chicken person. Maybe you are a pork chop
Their
person.
pork chops are amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got all of the different kinds of meats you could ever want in your cooler and the most amazing sides. 50% off. And then if you use code CHICKS at checkout, you get another $40 off. So lots of savings to be had right now at omahasteaks.com.
So yummy. So yeah, it would be great if we lived in the time of Reagan again. It'd be fantastic. I would love that. But really, we can't go back to that. I know that we can't. And so we just have to convince more people to vote conservative. And then we have to bring up this generation to be more conservative and then try so hard to shield this generation that goes off to these colleges to remain conservative. That's the biggest thing. That's our biggest challenge, because I don't know how you fight 90-something% liberal professors. I don't know how you do that when you don't have control of your kids for that, or you at least don't have their ear and their eyes for 4 years, So,
and it's a good conversation to have, even something as simple as the pronouns, which we discussed earlier. Like it would have never occurred to me had I not seen that tweet to even think about having a conversation about how to answer that question when you get to college.
And what did he say? What did he say to you?
He's so eye-rolly about the whole thing anyway, because he knows how dumb it is. And so, but I think it hit home to say, don't just automatically answer he, him, as if it's obvious, even though it should be, but don't answer it, because answering it with that answer legitimizes the question. And there needs to be pushback, even if it's slight. As long as it's polite, there needs to be pushback to make the point, this is a stupid conversation. It didn't used to have to be this complicated. We shouldn't be making it this complicated. So I'm not going to even answer it, because it doesn't matter how you refer to me in third-party conversations.
And I think it's good.
My pronouns are I, me.
And I think that's good. I think it's good to have that conversation, because what it also does is it gives him permission to say, this is bullcrap. Yeah. It gives him permission to have that authority in himself to say, like I had this conversation with my parents, and so I am emboldened to reject this bullcrap. I'm rejecting it, because now he has that verification from you. Yeah. And I think kids need that. Even when they're older, they need that. They need to know that their parents they have their back.
Right.
And when they have their parents, when parents have their kids' backs like that, kids can go out into the world and they feel like, okay, I can reject this crap. And that's so parents need to have those conversations with their kids, kind of like you did. That's important. You can't just assume that your kid knows this. And you can't just assume that your kid, knows that you have their back. You got to tell them, I got your back. Yeah. This is what we believe. This is what our family believes. And it's okay to go out there and reject this crap, because
and you can do it kindly. You can do it politely, but you can also reject it at out of hand, because complying and just like nodding your head and saying I'm a he, him, or whatever, it just makes this continue in perpetuity, and that's a terrible thing for America.
Yeah. And then just reiterate that there are other kids like him that are going to be at college with him. Guarantee you that 50% of the student body is just like him. 50% guaranteed. They're just walking around looking for him to hook up and hang out with him. They want to hang out with people just like him. They're just looking for him, and they're doing the same thing that he's doing. They're looking at this crap thinking, this is whack. This is totally whack. So that's the thing. Those are the kind of conversations you got to have with your kids, so they feel strong and emboldened. Otherwise, we're just going to lose them.
Yeah.
So
have the conversations.
Have the conversations. Yep.
You guys, that's a good way to take us out into the end of the year.
I know. It's like we got 2023 is looming. We hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a happy 2023, a safe, happy 2023. All the places that you can find us, just, first and foremost, just go to chicksontheright.com, and then really just go to chicksontheright.com/links. That's where you can find all of our socials, all of our things, our podcasts, all the things. Go there, and we will talk to you guys in the new year. Bye. Bye, everybody.